Technically, yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh.
Knows at this point. All right, episode 26 of Boss's Big Three. We are back-to-back weeks for the first time since a while.
Forever.
But hey, we've done this for like what was
For
it?
the decade.
Six months straight. Took a little time off.
New year, new me.
Yeah.
New decade, new us.
All right, and we said this before in the past, but we are going to be on Apple or Spotify sometime in the near future. So for those who just tune in for like want to hear one segment, like last week, you want to hear Spike King talk about his tattoo and all that debacle, and you didn't stick around for the whole episode, we're going to be on Apple and Spotify. So next time you're like what I was going to say, mowing your lawn.
Though. Like you say like, oh, I'm going to post 3 things about NBA on Ride the Wave. That never happened. You say you're going to end up changing the logo. That never happened.
I changed the logo?
Like,
the main one.
Yeah. You talk a lot. Dude.
I've said multiple times I don't know how to make a logo.
You disappear, and yeah, we did it 6 months straight, and then you literally disappeared on us. Like, you just vanished in thin air. Like, you're gone. I know you're upset about Penn State, you know? The national title bid didn't happen.
Not even that. We're going to talk about some other Penn State stuff that popped off later in the show. But, as always, we are sponsored by 1-100. 1-100 is the only online raffle website giving fans and experience seekers the chance to win tickets to live sporting events, concerts, music festivals, and more. Whether it be from your desktop or mobile device, winning tickets to your favorite event has never been so easy and fun. Choose your desired event, purchase a raffle ticket into the draw, and you could be the lucky winner. Celtics and Bruins season is amidst, so you could enter the raffles for those. I know we always have stuff going on for that. I think we have a raffle going on soon, right? I saw a story post that we throw on at Ride the Wave Media. Give them a follow if you don't know that company, because this is the company. But just in case, Ride the Wave Media, we update our story posts a lot, telling you guys when the next raffle will be. We even have some posts here and there. Check them out. Check out 1-100. I've only heard good things about the people who won and even the people who lost. Dude, you spent, what, $3 on a ticket so you didn't get a medium iced coffee today. Like, you'll live.
Yeah. It's actually, they have Lakers coming up. That Lakers game's very expensive to get into.
Yeah,
and they have like row 5.
Yeah, one of my brothers and his friend for Christmas, they got tickets, but like his friend got him the tickets. His mom's like, whatever, pick any game you want. Didn't really look at the price. He bought $500 tickets with a credit card.
Holy cow.
Holy God.
I would have did the same thing.
Yeah.
Free range.
Some cost at that point, but
Let's got unlimited money.
Into the NFL playoffs real quick. Patriots are out. It's
still?
Patriots did not find their way back into the playoffs this weekend. But a lot of just random games, a lot of weird outcomes. Let's what was the first game? It wasn't Texans.
Yeah.
Chiefs was it? Was?
No. So
Sunday.
The first game was the Titans and Ravens was the 8:00 game.
No, it was the Niners. It was the Niners game.
Oh, Niners
Vikings.
Yeah, the Super Bowl champion Minnesota Vikings lost in the division.
Wow, there goes my pick. And obviously, I was all about the Vikings this year. The Niners looked so good. They looked so good. And you know what? Jimmy G didn't even have a great game. If you look at the stats that he had, I think he had like 1 touchdown, 100 and something, a little under 200. But that team overall looks good, and that team looks like they should win the Super Bowl.
Very well rounded.
That looks like the team that's going to win it all right now. And again, I don't want the Niners to win it all. I just don't want to hear the narrative in Boston that will happen when they win, that Jimmy G should have stayed in New England, that we should have moved on from Tom Brady. That way we could have Jimmy G for the next 10 years. And that's going to end up happening.
I think that narrative will come out either way, though. I'm looking at it. If you're a Patriots fan and you don't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo win the Super Bowl over Mahomes or Rodgers, then you're a psychopath. Like, you should want like one of your like AKA homegrown guys. He's like not really homegrown, but
I want the Tennessee Titans.
Titans versus.
I want
Chiefs.
Logan Ryan to be a Super Bowl champion.
He already is.
I want him to be it again.
I want Garoppolo to be good. Like, show that, like, oh, he's a legitimate quarterback. The Patriots had something.
He's already shown that.
Yeah, he's proven that.
All right, then I wanted him to be great. If that's the case. I want Jimmy Garoppolo to lead his team to a Super Bowl.
In this Niners offense, it's all about the run. He's almost a complement to their main offensive strategy. At one point during the Vikings game, they ran the ball 10 times in a row, and they got first downs on 3 of the plays. Like, it's kind of unbelievable, the zone blocking scheme they got over there that just sets up the pass, and then it's one-on-one with Kittle down the middle, and they can't stop it.
It is exciting looking at these teams that performed so below expectations in their first year. Like with Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo in their first full season, you see Garoppolo goes down with an injury, and Kyle Shanahan's offense doesn't look as exciting as it's supposed to be, as it was in Atlanta. And then seeing what he is able to do when this team is fully healthy for an entire season, and they're a game away from the Super Bowl. It's really exciting to see.
Samuel was a big get for them as well. He's become one of the best receivers in the league, I think. Period. Not even on that team. Would you rather have Kittle or Kelsey?
Kittle.
Kelsey.
Ooh, that's a good question. I kind of want to go Kittle because I think Kittle's better blocking than Kelsey is.
I think Kittle's more Gronk-like, so that's why.
I hate Travis Kelsey with every fiber in my being.
No, he's
Scott Zolak. Scott Zolak had a tough outing.
Oh yeah,
he
had a cold take.
Yeah.
Very cold. Coldest take of the week.
It was the epitome of don't drink and tweet. Is Scott Zolak.
Right.
He had 7 tweets in a row just going at Kelsey nobody else. I was like, geez, dude.
At least he didn't delete it. He owned
it,
and he lived it.
Someone called him out too. He was like, you didn't delete this? He's like, dude, I can't delete this. It's screenshot error.
Everywhere.
I do wonder if something happened pregame when he was on the field talking to everybody, if he had some words with Travis Kelsey, because this kind of came out of nowhere. Because everybody knows Kelsey's the real deal, the top 3 tight end in the NFL. I know Zoe at least respects his game, so I really do wonder if something happened pregame where he just disrespects him. He might have just gotten his face.
What makes you hate Kelsey?
I don't understand.
I don't understand.
He's a rival to the Patriots.
And he's a diva.
He performs great against the Patriots. That's literally.
You could say the same thing about Gronk. If you don't like the Patriots, you could be screw Gronk.
All right.
Gronk,
well, a lot of people say screw Gronk, so I say screw Kelsey. Simple as that. He's just one of the most aggravating people. Obviously, he doesn't fit the quote-unquote tight end mold of ground and pound. He has all these pierced, he has his ears pierced. He's trying to look flashy, trying to be a pretty boy. And he just drives me nuts. He was on my fantasy team. He's a wicked good NFL player.
I'm biased. I'm biased because I met him last year down in Atlanta before the Super Bowl, 2 days beforehand, and he was rooting for me, not the Patriots. He was rooting for me, and hopefully the tattoo won. And he was really nice to me in GRD, and he was cool. We had some beers. We drank some Coors Lights with him, took a picture with him. He was nice. And now, since then, I said, I'm over forever Kelsey. And before that, yes, I could see your take and be like, I don't like him because he plays for the Chiefs. He's like a diva. I see that take. Dude, he's a nice guy. He really is.
I'm sure he is, dude. I'm just playing.
He just flashed. He's in his overalls. He's just, I don't know. He's funny.
I'm playing the role of angry man sitting on his couch at home watching someone do better than him. Is all
exactly.
that. It's there's no reason.
Really well.
It's like watching Giannis
I'm sure he's
the
a really good guy. Yeah, even then I love Giannis though.
Yeah. You don't want to see other players perform crazy well against your team.
No, but you can't hate Giannis. Giannis the most lovable NBA
it's not the best.
Maybe
the
the last decade.
The point is still there, where a guy is a great athlete. He's got a personality. He's the world knows who this guy is, and just performs well against your favorite team. It's gonna happen, and Travis Kelsey is that.
So let's stick with the NFC here. Packers end up taking over the Seahawks. What do you think about that game?
Okay, Russell Wilson carried that Seahawks team on his back.
he is that
broken.
Team.
He fractured something in his back after that game. It was kind of unbelievable to see. That run game, Marshawn Lynch, it was cool to see him come back. Did not really have a huge impact at the end of the day. He scored 4 times. It might seem like a lot in the amount of games you played, but he averaged what? I think it was less than 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, I think he only had 44 yards.
He wasn't ready to go.
Take care of your mental. Take care of your chicken.
He ran off into the sunset with an all-time Marshawn Lynch quote, which is all we could ask. That was the most Seahawks game of all time, and the fact that weren't really in it, they came back in it, and then I don't know, a call didn't go their way, which I have a problem with.
That call.
If the yellow line is gonna be quote unquote unofficial,
it wasn't accurate.
If we see Devontae Adams post something with a red line, why don't we use the red line on TV?
Good question.
Well, it is 2020. So I can call someone on an Apple Watch if I wanted to, and I can't even get an official line.
So I know Fro has been talking about it, and I think it's this year they've been doing it. They have a pylon cam at the first down markers. Why don't they have a laser that just shoots straight out and be that's the line, and you can actually see it on the field or something like that? Why is there not some sort of technology like that that's on the field with lasers that just point?
If you got that coming from one sideline, one guy on the sideline getting in the way, one wide receiver outside the line could get in the way of that, and you wouldn't be able to see where it's at.
Yeah,
a cool idea if all these new stadiums are being built, the Raiders. If I were the Raiders, this would be $1 million idea. Which isn't what they're looking for. They're looking for $1 billion ideas. So this is a $1 billion idea. I would because it's gonna be turf. Underneath the turf, you put these lights, these whatever you want to call them, and on the actual field, whatever 10 yards is that part of the line across. So you see the legit yellow first down marker, but you see it's just lit up over turf, so it's not killing grass or anything. Can't kill turf.
You do just brighter lights, you know how on the Sunday Night Football broadcast they're just changing the color of the grass now.
Yeah. Like the little block thing.
Human error is always part of the game, though, and it needs to be part of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
It has to be part of it because this is the whole debate of first. It makes us debate. But here's the thing: it's just funny how Twitter was going after that, but then you can see the other side where the yellow line was clearly a half a yard away, and it was a first down, and we just move on.
And honestly, I think the NFL likes the controversy because it brings more attention to their
conversation.
Exactly. The angrier fans get, the more they want to watch the game to make sure the refs don't mess up again. And
it's kind of like after the Super Bowl's over, when free agency hits and the draft comes, they want to be talked about more than the NBA and the NHL. Right. They want everyone to talk. They want those off-field antics too. They want that shit because everyone's talking about their league.
Well, that's why the NBA succeeds. The NBA offseason is sometimes way more entertaining than the NBA season. Especially every 4 years when all these huge contracts go up. This was the first summer since the 2015, 2016 summer. When KD and all of them were free agents. And that's the biggest story. Every single day you were waiting for that Woj bomb. There's nothing like that right now.
Even years ago, LeBron in the decision, that was huge. You watch it, you're sitting down, they have a special for it.
Yeah, that's the thing though, because the NFL can't really compete on that scale because it's just a matter of roster size. The NBA has almost the same amount of money the NFL team has, and it's only 12 players they spend it on. They'd spend it on 53 in the NFL, so it's hard to make those splash signings, especially cross-conference. When in the NBA, you can go anywhere. And it's a different culture in the NBA, I'd argue, too. Because the NBA is all about flip-flopping now and going to the best team possible, and the NFL still really hasn't gotten there yet.
Well, that's why the Kirk Cousins deal a few years ago was such a big deal, because he was really the first real free agent quarterback since maybe Peyton Manning.
Yeah. And not even that. The Peyton Manning hype was a little dimmer too because he had that neck thing going on. So nobody really knew if he would come back to form. But then they give Kirk Cousins $30 million guaranteed.
Let's go over to AFC to touch on those games real quick. It is January 16, 2020, and there are still Houston Texans fans out there. The fact that you guys stick with that one fan base who continues to just put a knife in your throat and twist it every single season. And you are up 24-0 against Mahomes and the Chiefs. That felt like a college game. I never thought the Chiefs were out of that thing. I'm like, dude, Mahomes could just snap like that. Next thing you know, they get 3 possessions in a row in their own territory. In Texans territory.
A couple of things about that game. First of all, I saw some tweets flying out there saying that was one of the greatest comebacks. No, the Patriots comeback. It's they came back by halftime and they were leading by halftime.
Exactly.
And it's just great because you know what? Pat Mahomes and that offense, they're explosive. Number 2, Pat Mahomes' girlfriend's an idiot. I hate her so much.
She's so annoying.
So annoying. The same one that comes out and complains about Patriots fans harassing her. There's probably a reason why you got harassed because you act like that. And I just can't wait for a woke John fucking raid on that one.
She has the most aggravating voice. Nails on a chalkboard voice. Whenever she started screaming, it was dude, if I could deport someone that just to be you. Or just throw you in a sailboat in the Pacific Ocean.
Give her a break because she is dating Kermit the Frog. So it's kind of it must be hard for him. Not hard for him because he's not a quarterback.
Ready?
Bed tonight. Just think about Pat Mahomes. He wakes up to that sound every single morning. Her and Mahomes talking, kind of like your point. That must be the worst sounding voices in a house history.
Oh yeah.
You hear Kermit the Frog on one side, then you hear a squawk of crows coming down on the other side.
Another tweet I saw. So what I like to do is I'm a big fan of Reddit. And what I like to do is go on the subreddits of the Texans, and I go on the Chiefs, and you get to read everything. Everyone wants Bill O'Brien gone. They are just saying they are so embarrassed to be a Texans fan. And it's crazy because I believe 3 out of the last 4 years they've won the division or something like that, and they've been hitting the playoffs and just can't get over that hump. It's like the Marvin Lewis hump of in the Cincinnati Bengals, where it's you guys are okay every few years, but you just can't get over that. And another tweet I saw, since 2014, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans have all made the AFC title game. The Texans have not made it. And that's sad. And they've
arguably been the most successful regular season team, too.
They have been, yes, compared to all those other teams. It's Jaguars have their 1 year, they make it, they're gone. Titans probably their 1 year here, they make it, they're probably gone. And the Colts, I mean, they don't have luck anymore, but...
I had a quick question for Babs, actually. So, speaking of Marvin Lewis, before Mike McCarthy was hired by the Dallas Cowboys, he was brought in for an interview. And people kept making noise about the Rooney Rule and whether or not it was an actual serious inquiry to hire Marvin Lewis.
What even is the Rooney Rule? I've heard that.
So the Rooney Rule basically was put in place to make sure that minority coaches and stuff weren't being neglected in the job hiring process. So they have to bring in a certain amount of different minorities and stuff to hire, entertain the hire. And obviously Marvin Lewis is a bum. He's not a good coach. We know that. That's been established. So do you think that this whole Marvin Lewis nonsense is being overhyped, or do you think it's just part of the process?
Did they bring him in for an interview?
Mm-hmm.
Good God.
So you're saying they purposely bring him in order for the...
That's what I'm saying. There's an outcry on social media. Stephen A. Smith was very upset about it.
They probably just bumped into each other on the street. Be like,
I don't think he's a total bum of a coach. I mean, you're consistently going 8-8. Actually, you look at some of his records; they're not terrible out there. 6-10 to 9-7 or 10-6 is where you're gonna get it. Why isn't he, a coordinator on one of these crappy ass teams that are a 3-win team or something like that? I still think he has a shot. I think kind of what McCarthy did. Supposedly, because now that shit's coming out that McCarthy didn't do anything in the offseason and he actually didn't watch tapes and this and that. But Marvin Lewis maybe needs to take a step back, coach himself again, learn a little bit more, and then go back out there. I don't think he's being blackballed or anything like that, but I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole race thing. It's ugly. Yeah. It's just ugly. Not my subjects I want to talk about.
Yeah, you don't want 3 white guys on a podcast talking about that.
Good thing there's 4 of us. What was I gonna say? Lamar Jackson out of the playoffs.
Pooped his
That's surprising.
Not great.
Not surprising. It's not surprising.
I'm pretty surprised by it, considering how great that team was during the regular season. They just showed everything they were able to do.
They've never been battle tested during the regular season. They've never been tested. And when they get tested, like the Cleveland Browns game, which was their last loss, they can't come back from that. And if you saw Lamar Jackson's face and you saw his body language, that game, he was pissed off. He was never cool, calm, and collective. He never said, okay, we can do this. He just seemed rattled. He gets rattled. And the same thing happened last year when the Chargers came in there and beat his ass for 3 straight quarters. Now, he started coming back in that game last year, but that's good coaching on Vrabel's part. When you have Derrick Henry throwing touchdowns and Tannehill rushing touchdowns, and just the different. It's good that the defense steps up. They went in there, smacked them in the mouth, and it also should show they shouldn't have had 3 weeks off. They should. It's kind of one of those things that they should have played week 17.
Right.
They got to keep that flow going. But then you start. I said this in our chat that night. You go to the Ravens Instagram, you start looking at the videos pregame, you laugh at them. And then you say, no wonder why they lost. You see Lamar Jackson hopping on the cart and say, hey, we should drive in like that. It just shows they're not mentally there for a playoff game. And how is Harbaugh allowing that to happen? You're letting the inmates run the asylum, and that should not be happening. And this is why Belichick, to his credit, has been successful for 20 years. Because even when they lose like this year and it sucks, that team's going right back in the playoffs next year because Belichick is going to keep everybody whipped into shape.
It can't be overlooked that the Ravens lost that game, but the Titans deserve to win that game. Considering where they've been the last 2 weeks, beating the New England Patriots at home and then the Baltimore Ravens, who were one of the top 4 Super Bowl favorites to contend for the title this year, and beating both those teams at home within basically the same week is unreal, and it should be accredited to how great a coaching staff, how great those players are performing over in Tennessee. And I think if they were to go on the road 3 straight weeks to beat the Patriots, Ravens, and Chiefs, they should easily be considered the Super Bowl favorites.
Yep, no, I agree. But I think I said this last week, maybe the week before when I was on, the Ravens' style of offense only works when you're ahead because they control the clock with the run and they play good defense. That's how it's always been. It's old school football, right? The only time besides the last game they did not lead in the first quarter was the Cleveland Browns game, a game which they lost. The Baltimore Ravens were frauds the entire damn time. Because if they don't get the offense going early in the game, they're going to lose it. Because they can't come from behind. Because they are a run-dominated team. They waste too much time on the clock. And you saw it in the last game.
That's a good point. Like, you could bring up like a hypothetical. If you were to say you're running out of time and you're down a few points, you see it in the Texans-Chiefs game, and you see it in the Ravens-Titans game. When one team got behind, they had like the talent through the passing game over in Kansas City to get themselves back into that game very, very fast. And like you're talking about clock management with the running the ball, Baltimore just couldn't do that because of how dominant they were. And it was apparent. If you give me Patrick Mahomes in that situation and his group of receivers, I think they'd be able to get back into the game because they're moving the ball so fast down the field.
It's kind of crazy, too, because I believe right before halftime, I didn't really watch the games this weekend, but right before halftime, I believe they were in the 2-minute offense, and they just drove right down the field. Like, Lamar was getting them down the field. It's just like, why can't you just do that all game?
Stalled,
like, why can't you just fucking and he was launching, he was throwing it out there, man. He was getting out there. Just like, why can't you do that the entire game? You also give to about like time management. That's what Vrabel's all about. That's what I think they're like third in the league in like time management, time clock, owning the clock, eating the clock. That's all it did was eat the clock all game long. Eat that clock. Good at that. And also shout out to Derrick Henry, dude. Derrick Henry's a fucking beast.
I've said
this. The two things that matter in a football game the most: controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock. And the Titans did both. Also, to quote the great Logan Ryan after the game, they ran Madden and Gage 8 the whole damn game and trusted man-to-man defense. That takes balls. Vrabel has balls. He trusted his guys to go one-on-one with Hollywood Brown, Willie Snead, and Mark Andrews, and they did it.
He's got balls, but he might not have a dick if they win the Super Bowl. Hey, you know what? So
where does he go from here? Lamar Jackson, he already has the MVP, probably. Already has all these records, the Mike Vick records, the passing records. He always has. Was he Rookie of the Year?
No,
I don't think so.
We can't get that. But he has all these accolades, dude. I think the only step now is the Super Bowl, and people are going to hold that against him. Like Mahomes,
kind of similar situation with Mahomes right now.
Yeah.
Like, if he loses, it doesn't look good for Mahomes in Kansas City.
Granted, it's each their second year actually playing, but like in this such like a win now mentality with every single team that has a compete, there's no fan base that I can see that like realistically is like, all right, dude, we went 12-4, made it the AFC Championship. Like if the Titans lose, that's a great season. But there might be Tennessee fans be like, dude, we should have won it all. Instead of looking at it like a step-by-step process, like the Sixers, trust the process for that like example. Instead of looking at a process, everyone looks at it like the Patriots, like all your chips in this season, win now. If Mahomes doesn't win it or Jackson didn't win it in his second year, it's kind of like end of the world. Maybe because NFL players obviously don't have as long a career as other sports, but and it's a smaller window. But I think the only step from Jackson from here on out is not only making the Super Bowl, but winning it.
I think he just needs another weapon on that offense. I still think that he's an absolute beast, and you can't really stop him. I don't think they're too one-dimensional. They just need another like big name weapon on that team. And then you got to go on their defense as well too. They got to make some. Earl Thomas, you're an idiot. Derrick Henry made him look like a little boy out there. Imagine that, talking all that shit, and then you're just like, you're the one who's lead blocking.
That was unreal.
That was awesome.
Turned him around, had him run for him.
But I think that what Lamar Jackson did this year and what the Ravens did shows that, hey, this is a location to come play because you know that Lamar's the future, and this is a team that's not going away anytime soon, and that's a team that's going to run that division for quite some time. Steelers are on their way out. We don't know what's going to happen with the Bengals, with Joe Burrow over there, and the Browns are the Browns. So they're going to run that division. They're going to run that division for quite some time. So
I think all their starting. Like, I think 10 out of their 11 starters are coming back on offense, and like 9 of their 11 starters come back on defense. Something like that, at least, but not with like free agency or anything. So they're going to have all 22 come back.
Pencil them in for the AFC title game next year. They'll be back. They're not going to go away.
In regards to Lamar Jackson, I think him and that team, especially Jackson, proved a lot of people wrong this year. I think coming out of his rookie year, I think a lot of people still like regarded him as being more valuable as a runner than a passer, and I think that's where his next step in development is. Though he showed he was a great passer and can play the quarterback position at an elite level with that like dynamic threat of the ground game too, I think that's his most important like requirement this offseason. Just control that ball, put it where you want it, like just being an elite passer is the next step to Lamar Jackson's evolution.
But lastly on Lamar this is the growing pains because he's still young. He needs to be more mature. He needs to understand to be a leader. He's not a leader yet. I don't see him as a leader on that team yet. And I think that this year they have to look back at the whole big trust and them talking and fooling around before the game. Cut that shit out. You guys are a talented team. You know what you have here, a talent. Go out there and play some damn football and win those fucking games that are most important. And if he can do that this offseason and be more of a leader out there, like Pat Mahomes is a leader. Like that's who he is. He showed that. And
he was gassing up that sideline during that game.
Yeah, he was. But that's the leader to say, like, hey, we're not out. We're still in this. Where Lamar is just, you see him saying fuck on television and he just looks frustrated and he has his head down. No, we don't want to see that. I want to flip this back over the Titans real quick. People were kind of making a big deal about this. Not really, though. So Vrabel was handshaking and hugging everyone that comes in. Marcus Mariota just walking right by, and it was kind of awkward, and like Mariota slid behind him and shit like that. Kind of feel bad for Mariota right now. I do a little bit, but I do a little bit, man. Like, I don't know.
Why? What? It's a business. If you don't perform, you should have
How
the
much
job.
does that hurt you inside to be like, this team's going to the AFC title game, and it's not because of me, but I was supposed to be the guy.
I go home to my mansion and I get pretty upset.
In that Patriots game, he had some subsets. He ran some read options. He had like 4 or 5 plays.
Yeah, the pity package kills me every time I see Mariota out there. Mariota pity package.
I still think it can be useful. I think a team, maybe like Tampa Bay, if Jameis Winston does get out of there. Or
imagine them two link up and they end up being like quarterback.
First, second overall picks from 2016.
I mean, like
I could realistically see them trading teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could too. But he's a serviceable quarterback. I think he'll be okay.
It'll be actually interesting to see if the Titans can pull this off and Tannehill goes back down to Miami and he's in a Super Bowl. That is absolutely
that would
wild.
Be special.
And there you go. And remember what I talked about, like about maybe Kirk Cousins going on a type of Joe Flacco run. Tannehill's going on this like little run here. I mean, he's not lighting up a stat line or anything like that.
Right.
But he's like the Trent Dilfer right now. He's just making sure that they're, he
has what, like 194 yards.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a great analogy. Trent Dilfer. That's actually an unbelievable analogy.
Trent Dilfer type of thing, because I was looking at the Ravens in 2000 and I was trying to compare them to the Patriots because they pretty much won on defense. But if you look back, they were a 3 seed, I believe, the Ravens back then in 2000. Trent Dilfer wasn't doing anything. It was the defense and it was their run game that was getting shit going on. So
they had two 2,000-yard rushers on the same team. They had Jamal Lewis and they had Priest Holmes. Priest Holmes wasn't like as good yet because he wasn't in Kansas City yet, but like that dude could run. People don't understand how good Priest Holmes was. No, I think I'm not sure if he ran for 2,000 or he had like 2,500 all-purpose.
And
I don't really know.
They played, I think in the AFC title game, they played the Oakland Raiders or something like that. I think going against the Raiders, and then and the Raiders at that time were good. Like they were very good at the time. So
I've talked about this in the past, but the last 3 teams in the major 4 sports in America arguably are teams of destiny. Yeah, they won it, and it's like their destiny. They won it. But the Toronto Raptors never won a title. St. Louis Blues never won a title. Washington Nationals never won a title. Tennessee Titans, I'm not sure if they've won a title or not. I'm pretty sure that if
maybe as the Oilers,
if they win this game next week, they are like lock it. They are going to be that team of destiny. They could be losing 20 points going into the second half, and they'll still find a way because this is their year.
Joe Burrow is a national champion. Coach O is a national champion. The LSU Tigers beat the Clemson Tigers in one of the longest games in football history. I went to bed before the game ended. It was like, I think LSU was up at like 20 in the 4th or something like that. I'm just like, dude, I don't care. I'm going to sleep. It's like 3 a.m. might as well have been. Other than that, dude, like Joe Burrow, he's just good. Like, I'm not sure if you listened to the Part of My Take episode with him and Coach Joe, but they were just like, no, we were never worried ever. Like, we're just like, no, we're just better than these guys. Like, it'll shake out in the end. Shook out in the end. Odell somehow is the biggest story of the national champion.
Clown.
Which the biggest move.
You want him on the New England Patriots? You want that shit on the New England Patriots? No, I don't want that.
OBJ is very good at football.
So is Antonio Brown.
Yeah. He did well.
Those clowns.
I just choking on an almond.
Why are you eating almonds in the show?
6 grams of protein. A growing boy.
I took Clemson. I took Clemson plus 180. I was like, you can't go against Trevor Lawrence, undefeated, and they had a lead. They were up 17-7. And I thought Joe Burrow was overdosed on confidence. They literally were just saying all week, we're winning.
So
this
good.
Game. We're winning this game. And just watching him make that comeback. And you know what's cool is that they were down, readjusted, came back, won the game. And
if anyone's the biggest clown here, it's me. I took Oklahoma 2 weeks prior. My plus 14 didn't shake out at all. I took Clemson this week, plus 4.5. And I got egg on my face now.
I don't think people are obviously saying this, but I don't think people are actually just like, dude, that could have been one of the best. That is one of the best college football teams we will ever see.
Mm-hmm. The last 2 champions.
That's the best college football season of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the best team I've ever seen personally. Like ever since paying attention to closely to college football the past decade or something like that.
What had 2 15-0 teams win the championship? Clemson last year, LSU this year.
Yeah, I mean LSU was just a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Odell, like I said, he's just handing out wads of cash to players, which is a move. He's in the locker room, interrupting Coach O. Which, if I were Coach O, I'd snap him in half like a glow stick. And then he's being arrested for
battery.
Assaulting a police officer.
He's getting arrested for battery of a police officer. That's unreal.
And talking quick, why are there cops in the locker room of it? Because I'm going to underage you winning. Like I get it's the whole smoking inside thing, but that's dumb. You should know that. National champions are obviously going to party.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's always cops in the locker room after these games because you never know about media sneaking in, people that are not supposed to be there. But that guy, people are saying he's doing his job. I work in the law enforcement world. Dude, discretion. They just want a national championship. Let them smoke inside. Let it slide. Down south is absolutely crazy the way their worlds are down there. But you see him doing that. I thought the video was hilarious because you see that's happening. And then Odell's behind him and just slaps him in the butt. And then the cops going to him and just, I don't know. That guy's hardo.
He checked the water bottles to see if it was alcohol in them. I'm like, you mean the college kids, let alone national champions, are going to be drinking? No, couldn't be. I get the whole, don't smoke inside. Dude, who cares? What are they going to do? LSU is a multi-million-dollar, the company.
Also, shout out to Cade York on this. He missed a third-quarter field goal in the national title game. And if he hit it would have been the over 69.5 if you had it at 69.5. He knew what he did, too, because he actually posted about it and said sorry about the over-under. And these college kids know what the hell they're doing. They got money on the game as well.
If you ever see an over-under at 69, you always buy it.
Yeah.
No, back to the actual game, though. People a lot of hate on Trevor Lawrence right now. Unwarranted. I mean, unwarranted. Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback prospect we will see.
He's 14 years old.
For the next decade. The kid does everything well. And the thing I like about him most, he sits in the pocket first, but then can still run. That's a lot of times in that game. He picked up 4 or 5 yards on plays he should have been sacked. And that's the most valuable trait you can have as an NFL quarterback because no matter what happens in this league, it's still going to be a pocket passer league. You have to win from the pocket as a quarterback.
It's probably ideal that he's not going into the draft this year. And it's actually ideal coming off that loss to stay one more year, work out the kinks, and then be the first overall pick the next year, which the Patriots will not get him.
And I think it'll be better in the long term in his career because he finally has had that loss on the big stage, and people have seen how he handled it. And
he's winning loss.
Handle it well.
Yep.
And I think Clemson's going to be very dangerous again next year because you have that Trevor Lawrence factor, chip on his shoulder again. Hey, we should we were one. This Clemson team is great. We've got the talent to win this thing, and they're already favorites for next year's championship. So he's excited to see what Trevor Lawrence, how he grows in his final year of college.
Yeah. So speaking of next year's draft, we're set up for probably what we should have gotten with Mariota and Winston in Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I'm assuming Fields will declare next year, and I'm assuming they're going to go 1 and 2. And that's going to be what should have happened with Mariota and Winston, but they're going to be actually good in the NFL. Mark my words right now.
Jameis Winston's a record-setting quarterback, sir.
30 for 30.
All right.
Real quick, though, last thing, and then we can move on. But Joe Burrow, going to be a Bengal. He's going to Cincinnati. What's your realistic expectations? Now, you've seen him. He's good. What's the record for the Bengals next year? What's your realistic
2-14.
You really think they're going to be that bad?
He has no one around him. He has Mixon. He has AJ Green, who probably will get hurt because he's good at that.
Oh, he's a
Ross
free
and
agent.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, he's also might not gonna. Yeah, but I'm saying like Joe Burrow's good in college, but like literally in this whole part of my take interview, he was like, "Yeah, I did a lot of stuff in college. I know I can't do in the NFL." So like even then, he's like, "I'm gonna have to switch up my game." His game a lot of the time is scrambling into the pocket. Like he knows people can't sack him, then just chucks it up. And one of his unreal receivers, that one dude had like 7,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Real quick, I saw your take on this. I had a similar take. Sign Thaddeus Moss. Why not? It's kind of cool, and he's good. So.
Oh, the Patriots.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have him just because you have Randy Moss kind of come back and just be around there and shit like that. And,
why not?
I mean, they need a tight end. They need some sort of tight end like going into next year. Joe Burrow though, what was the Cardinals' record this year? Was it like 5-11 or something like that? Or...
No, they had a tie. The first game they tied against Detroit. So
they'll have a similar record to Kyler Murray in the first year. That's what I was going to say. Like, it's just they're not going to be a good team next year. The Bengals, they're not going to win the division, but you got to give him some credit. I feel like he could put something together. It's a lot hanging on the draft and free agency. Let's see what ends up happening. I'm sure that Cincinnati's going to make the moves right away to put a team around him, and they're not going to wait.
Yeah, so because Burrow declared and we know he's going number 1 overall, I could see AJ Green coming back on a 1-year prove-it type of deal just to play with Joe Burrow for a year.
That's fair.
People really underestimate Tyler Boyd out in Cincinnati. That kid can play. He's a good player. Bill Belichick's on record saying Joe Mixon is the best back in the league. Not one of the best. He said the best in the NFL. The play-action game in Cincinnati is going to be unbelievable next year. Zach Taylor knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball at least. If they can clean up some of their defensive errors, I could see them going like 7-9.
Yeah, 6-10, 7.
That's good.
That's optimistic.
That's optimistic for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
All right, baseball is ruined. Actually, I think baseball is unbelievable right now. If you're listening to me on Sox before, I was so pro cheating, steroids, all this stuff. So like, this is my wheelhouse. But I don't know the logistics, all the specifics to it. So Brandon, if you want to break down basically everything that's happened from Yankees to Cora to today with Beltran to back to the Astros with Altuve and Bregman.
We had a lot of news. If you know, you've heard about it. If not, you are living under a rock. Baseball, the game, the sport is forever changed because of a few specific individuals deciding to dig into certain areas. Not saying it was a bad thing, but Evan Drellick, when I'm not sure who hired him, NBC Sports Boston brought him in, he sent him to Houston and uncovered everything there, came to Boston, uncovered everything that was going on in Boston.
He's a Boston guy, though.
Exactly. But bringing him back in was dangerous in the first place.
Yeah.
He's had that reputation of like real sports journalism, getting into like the nitty gritty, like things that aren't supposed to be seen. He's finding a way to uncover those things. We had the repercussions come out from this off-season long scandal coming out of Houston about what was going to happen between Jeff Ludhow, the GM for the Houston Astros, and manager AJ Hinch, who didn't really have a huge part in the cheating scandal for stealing signs in Houston, but still let it persist. He didn't put a stop to it, even though he knew about it, and that's why ultimately he lost his job, him and Ludhow in the Houston organization, and from MLB's specific sanctions on Houston, and now the repercussions are finally starting to, like, the shrapnel's kind of coming out now. Everyone's telling all, everyone's giving their piece, everyone wants to be a part of this because this is historic. This is like the biggest thing to happen.
This is like
scandal-wise in baseball history.
Well, it's like the steroid era.
Exactly.
It's like Jose Canseco ratting everybody out. And then all of a sudden, I want to make a comparison. It's just funny because we want a clean game in baseball. Right. We want a clean game, and then this is happening. I just find it ironic.
And there's been the argument, people will argue the fact that sign stealing in baseball has been around forever. Everyone is trying to steal signs consistently. It's just the problem is how they're doing it, and that's where Houston and Boston are getting in trouble right now from Alex Cora.
So what's up with this? Because all right, I got to give a shout out because I know this guy is actually going to listen. Name's Dan Burke. He's been DMing me all this stuff about the base because I'm not in baseball. You know me, I'm just football. And he's been trying to keep me up to date on everything. So I want to kind of go, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. We have a fake burner account right now that's going out there.
Yes, that's like I'm checking.
I have a theory about
that constantly right now as we speak.
And just real quick, before you get into that, Tyler, Dan Burke has said he's narrowed it down to 4 players that it could possibly be that have connections between the Astros and Yankees. And it was Juan Centano, Brian McCann, J.D. Davis, and Cameron Maben. And he's like, those are the 4 guys. He said only 4 players that either played for or worked with guys on the Astros, 17 and Yankees that would know about both teams.
Yeah, all right. That's what I was thinking. Like, it wasn't Carlos Beltran's niece.
No.
Everybody knew that. But I'm like, this is either a random kid or a player that wants, like, to see the world burn.
Yeah,
which I am so here for a pity.
Like, yes. So this Twitter account is tweeting all this thing. It started last night is when, like, the first one really started blowing up about Carlos Beltran, the New York Mets manager at the time, who was just hired this offseason to be the Mets' new manager. His apparent niece tweeted last night that he would be stepping down as manager, and she tweeted like, "Oh, my Tio's retiring. I'm so sad." And like he hasn't managed a single game yet. First time this is like ever, third time in baseball history that a guy's been hired and will not manage a single game.
I resign as coach.
Undefeated. Exactly. He's undefeated.
So, moving into today, this account has credibility. Everyone in the Beltran family is like, we have no idea who this is. This is not our niece. Like, we do not know who this is. So that's where the burner account information is coming from. No one knows who this person is except, like Babs is talking about, trying to narrow it down to a few specific individuals who are in both organizations in the specific time frame. But players are starting to be named. We had the repercussions on Houston from the MLB, but now players' names are starting to arise from it. Carlos Beltran lost his job already with the Mets, and now we've got 3 players specifically who are being targeted for like the cheating, the buzzing thing is the new thing.
Number 1, yes, stop right there. Jose Altuve. I got to say it 3 times. So there's a picture because I saw it on Barstool, and it was like that little thing sticking out in his jersey. And then this has been going around where he had a walk-off, and he's saying to everybody, "Don't take my jersey off."
Exactly.
Don't take my jersey off. And then on Twitter, now I'm reading it like as you're talking, and someone goes, "He said that because he's shy," and then someone replies back with like, Altuve's like jersey ripped off, and it's like it's easy to take the transmitter off, and you have all these little pictures now that are coming out. People are looking for shit. You know what I mean? So
and this fits the narrative. That's why it's like blowing up, going viral right now, is because a few months ago when the scandal kind of started, there were reports out of Houston that players had Band-Aids with a buzzer underneath them. So it fits the narrative that came out months ago. And now it's just being brought more to light, and people are like they're digging, they're finding pictures, they're finding places where it's happened. And the 3 players, you named one, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and Gleyber Torres of the New York Yankees.
What does the buzzer do exactly? Can you explain that to me?
So the problem in Houston is the cheating scandal. Down the dugout, they had the center field camera so they could decode signs, see what the catcher's throwing down, and see what the pitch is going to be, whether it be an off-speed ball, whether it be a fastball. If there was no signal or like you didn't hear the trash can banging is like the common thing was the common thing in Houston. That's the one that's going around the internet that people are making fun of, memeing. The trash can banging like signaled that an off-speed pitch was coming. If you didn't hear anything, it was probably going to be a fastball. So the buzzer is basically the same exact thing. They had some sort of paging set up down at that table in the Houston dugout, and the players would be able to like, same thing. If you heard a banging of a trash can, you could assume off-speed pitch was coming. If the thing buzzed, you could assume an off-speed pitch was coming. That's where the differential is. Like pitchers, catchers caught on to the trash can banging, so they're trying to get it more low-key, trying to bring it down, make sure that everyone in the freaking stadium can't hear the trash can being banged for an off-speed pitch.
So now more information starting to get out there, and we've already seen some of the sanctions that have come down, but I'm saying, Brendan, because you're the baseball guy, you are in charge. You are the commissioner, and now some of this stuff is now really coming out there. Are you adding more to this? Are you going to put more sanctions down on some individuals or the team?
I think right now it's individuals, because you see in Houston that it was like it started with Alex Cora. We'll be blunt. Like Alex Cora's our guy in Boston, but he was the mastermind behind this in Houston, and still AJ Hinch lost his job for simply knowing about it and not doing anything to stop it. I think the problem arises in baseball when the technology is advancing so fast and the rules are kind of like lagging behind it. It's why we had 3 years ago now in Boston and New York, the Apple Watch scandal, where like we could see, or John Farrell was being able to see like the pitches, and that was one of the first ways they were using technology to signal what pitch was coming. They could send it out to a guy on like a signal out to the guy on second base, and he could like put his hand up in the air for the guy in the batter's box. Technology is advancing so fast, and baseball has to do something about it because the sport is kind of staying the same, but everyone's looking for that competitive advantage. And if they don't change anything, then teams will consistently use those replay rooms to try to get an upper hand and try to signal the pitch is coming. Baseball is the challenge is when it really boils down, it's a battle between the pitcher and the batter. And when the batter knows what's coming, it's game over. You're going to be hitting 600, 700% better than what you are supposed to be hitting, like without cheating, without knowing the signs. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about it. All the repercussions from MLB have yet to be given out. Alex Cora likely will receive a year-long suspension, if not a lifetime ban. That's like.
Do you think Altuve and Bregman will?
I think if these tweets that are coming out in the last few hours prove to be true, and like MLB is probably going to conduct further investigation into Houston now because of these tweets, I think you're going to see player repercussions starting to come out. You haven't seen any of that yet. There's no precedent for what's going to come for the players. There's only been a precedent set for what AJ Hinch and Jeff Ludhauer received, which was initially just a 1-year suspension from baseball. And now it could be even more for Alex Cora. Carlos Beltran may see the light of day if this proves to be true. It's all about the reliability of these tweets, and if MLB decides to investigate them further.
Is this as bad as Pete Rose betting on games and he got a lifetime ban pretty much?
Not at all. That's why everyone in baseball is expecting Alex Cora to kind of get. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Cora got a lifetime ban, because I do believe what he did was worse than what Pete Rose did.
It's two things real quick.
Go ahead.
First of all, who's this guy? Is this Josh Reddick?
That's Josh Reddick.
Did you see this thing?
I did not. It looks like a Band-Aid.
Does it? It looks like a wild.
Oh, is that when he's sitting down? He's got the goggles on above him.
That's after a celebration.
Someone said that was confetti.
But someone also said it was a Band-Aid covering an inappropriate tattoo, which is covering like 1% of the tattoo.
See, that's the thing about it now. Once it's already gone viral. Twitter is all over it. Baseball people are all over it. You can look at all these past replays now from Houston Astros games from the last 3 years and see where it's like in 2020 we have access to all these videos, all these games.
That's what I love about today's society, because you know that we have nothing better to do. We're sitting in our mom's
internet investigators,
and we're just like, you know what? Like, if you're a Dodgers fan, you're going to be like, I'm going to make sure I find every single little piece of evidence and just put it out on Twitter on your account that probably only has 1,000 followers, and it blows up, and then they'll take that and go somewhere with it.
The internet investigators and the detective Dodgers are all coming together to form this group to prove the Houston Astros title deserves to be stripped. I think it's a funny video. You could go back to after the Astros won the World Series. If you remember, I don't know if any of you guys watched it, their banner, when they tried to unveil it, it got stuck. Their wind, the stadium was open and the wind was just blowing it, and fate did not want that banner to be revealed.
That's true. The baseball gods, Babe Ruth looking over it. Now, you said there's 3 players involved.
3 players so far.
And how many coaches? Just Cora?
Carlos Beltran is kind of the middleman, because he was like a player coach in Houston. He was still a player on the roster. He was now a manager, but the 3 players.
Give me a number of how many people are involved in this, just for the Houston Astros. On the top of your head.
Probably a dozen and a half.
Okay, they get stripped of their title then. Because it's not just one player, okay? It's kind of like the steroid scandal. It's one individual player injecting shit into themselves, and it's you as a player still having to hit the ball and still having a hand-eye coordination and getting that out there. Right. But this is a team that is coming together, and they're trying to manipulate a system. And that's the way I look at it as a casual fan. I'm saying this entire team is coming together to manipulate something, instead of just 1 or 2 people doing it. That's the difference right there. And if there's 12 people involved, like you said, you're already saying 3 players, and now there's coaches involved and who knows what, you have to come down hard on them. Now you can say, Babs, you're a hypocrite, because think of all the stuff that the Patriots organization has done, but most of that stuff I think is coaches or one or two individuals, and it doesn't go out there as much. So
right. Just a few final thoughts on this subject. One thing that is really important to understand is the verbiage from ML. Well, MLB has not dished out their punishment yet to Boston or the Red Sox, or even finished that investigation. The Yankees are involved too. It's don't overlook this entire thing. It's baseball wide now, these MLB replay rooms. But my final point on this matter is Alex Cora and his 2 years with the Boston Red Sox. They should not be overlooked. Alex Cora is a great manager. The Red Sox, head honchos, owners, principal owners, presidents of baseball ops, held a press conference yesterday, and I'm seeing all over social media that everyone's saying Alex Cora got fired. Sam Kennedy, president of the Boston Red Sox, made it a very important point to say, to kind of save whatever face Alex Cora has left, that no, we did not fire Alex Cora. Cora came to us with the situation and knew that he could not continue going forward as the Red Sox manager or lead them in a way that he needed to. It was a mutual agreement, and it was not a one-side firing. AJ Hinch and Jeff Ludhout, they were fired by the owner of the Houston Astros. Ownership in Boston did not fire Alex Cora, and that should not be overlooked, because I keep seeing the word fired, mutually parting ways, resigning, all these different terms, stepping down in the case of Carlos Beltran. Alex Cora was not fired by the Boston Red Sox. He was not fired by the Boston Red Sox. He came to the Red Sox, and they found an agreement hey, this isn't going to work.
That's like at a job. I'm gonna make a little analogy, and you make a complete mistake. You're a good guy, but you make a complete mistake, and then you go up and go see your bosses, and they'll be like, dude, there's no way we can get around this. What we're going to do is we're going to mutually part ways. We're not going to fire you so you can save some face out there in public. But the Red Sox pretty much said, we're letting you go. But we'll make sure we stay in place. We're not sitting there and behind closed doors. But he was fired. 100% they're moving on from that. And they're like, we don't need this as an organization.
Who's going to be the next Red Sox manager?
Currently, Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball ops in Boston, says that
good-looking guy.
Ron Renneke will currently be the interim guy, because we're only a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. But the internet will declare Jason Varitek.
I was going to say, if he's not the manager,
as the next manager of the
Bring
Boston Red Sox.
Does he even want to be the manager?
I'm not sure. His wife's very all over the place on Instagram.
His name's been tossed around in the past too.
He is growing it as a coach in Boston. Mm-hmm.
But I say you bring the band back. You bring Varitek in. You bring Pedro in. Ortiz, you bring him in. You bring Manny in. You bring Kevin Millar in. You bring Johnny Damon back. You get the boys together.
Need the biggest PR
2003, 2004 boys together. And you just have them all there, all helping out in certain ways, all doing little stuff like that.
Right.
That's what the Patriots are doing right now. They got Ty Law kind of working one-on-one with Gilmore. You got Troy Brown coming back for the wide receivers. You got Gerard Mayo. You get these old guys coming back in there to help the team. And that's how you save face as an organization. Be like, we're moving past it. Hey, remember the 2004 Red Sox? They're back and better than ever. They're helping out the young guys, and they're helping out Mookie Betts, and they're helping out.
Great PR move.
All right, serious question though. Serious question. So I don't really know much about baseball in general, but Kevin Youkilis is Tom Brady's brother-in-law. Could we see Youkilis come back to Boston as a coach?
Not from my understanding. He's kind of taken the Drew Bledsoe route of retirement, and he's opened his own brewery, and it's successful, and it tastes good. So I would not expect Kevin Youkilis to be back in Boston anytime soon.
Where does he live? He lives in Florida. I think he lives in a different state. He's somewhere else. I don't know.
All right, let's wrap up with these DMs. Next week,
you don't want to talk about NBA at all?
Nah, we're running out of time.
Go Celtics.
Next week, we are gonna all watch the Aaron Hernandez doc and talk about that. We'll do that, everyone, so we can get the full
homework
breakdown of the Aaron Hernandez.
I watched it right when it came out. I woke up at 4 in the morning, threw it on. 3.5 hours. You got to dedicate. You got to watch it all at once. I
only watched half of the first one.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. A lot of information. It's kind of surprising seeing some of the reactions already really quick. I didn't know he was gay. I mean, that was the biggest story about him being gay.
Yeah. Literally his boyfriend in jail, dude. Yeah. His boyfriend in jail lives in the town next to me. He went to jail because he robbed my dad's friend's house. True story. If you ever want to look it up, I'm not going to name drop anybody, but that's why he was in jail.
started dating Hernandez, and then another one of my friends, again, not going to name drop people, we were at the gas station in our town, and he sees this blue Lamborghini or whatever it is pull up, triple park at the gas station, comes out, tattoos, neck down, giving all the hush money in the world of Hernandez's jail boyfriend. So he's out. He's giving all this like hush money.
The hush money.
Balling. I'm not like.
Spoiler alert. They don't really get into any of that second. And that's the thing, is that it kind of leaves you hanging at the end because there's more information out there, but they just kind of leave it there. Another spoiler alert. Aaron Hernandez dies. Just letting everybody know. So.
The Titanic sinks. All right. We got 8 DMs. Logan _757. Do you think the Pats will tank for Trevor Lawrence if Brady leaves?
Stupid take. I hate that Brendan's on the chain and Brendan's trying to lead everybody. I can't wait till they win 4 games in a row to start the season. Like, there goes your tanking season.
No, they're not going to tank, but I could see them trading up to get them.
Wait a minute.
They will not tank. I wouldn't be upset if they did and got Trevor Lawrence, though.
Wait a minute. Can we just talk about one more topic, please? Housegate. We never even got onto that at all. The whole Connecticut and Brady was moving, and then the same day he was at TB12 in Boston. Greg Hill started it, and he did the Spike King. He was just like, let me start a rumor and go out there. And he's like, oh, he's buying a house today and he's moving today, and this is happening. And great take by Roondog. Got to give him credit. The whole Alex Cora shit was dropped on the same day that the Brady stuff was going on. And the Red Sox work with WEEI. Like, they're together. So the Red Sox could have told them, go make up some fabricated story. Let's put more stuff on the Patriots. That way, when the Sox stuff comes out, it's kind of like, It gets blown over because we're still not in the season yet. It's still football season. People are still talking about Brady. Kind of interesting take. I just want to say.
And then Tom Curran coming out around dinner time saying, yeah, Tom Brady doesn't own a house in Connecticut.
I got a lot of people that DM me, and you can never believe, everyone's like, I got a source and I know this and that. And you have to take it for what it is. Like, someone messaged me and said, hey, I have a buddy that installed a shower door at Tom Brady's new house in Hopkinton, Mass. I'm like, okay, but hey, maybe he's building a house because it makes sense that he's done this in real estate. He'll build a house in Hopkinton, lives there for 3 years, leaves, flips it, and lives in New York City or lives in Connecticut.
I promise you, Tom Brady's not going to be living in Hopkinton. I'm next to Hopkinton, and he's not going to be living in CMAS.
Tom Brady could go buy $100,000 house, just live in it for a day, and sell it for $1 million just because Tom Brady stayed the night in it.
Yeah, that's not a bad little investment he should get into.
Sean Connery asks, 49ers or Packers? Who you got this weekend?
Wait, 49ers or Packers?
Niners.
All right, who do you want to see in the Super Bowl?
Niners.
So Chiefs, Niners would be like the great matchup you want to see. Chiefs, Packers for the Super Bowl I. It's going to be Titans, Packers. It's going to be just like a game that you don't really want to see. They're going to want Aaron Rodgers in there. I think you need to sneak him in because I think if the Packers win the Super Bowl this year, Aaron Rodgers retires. He's got to go out in the sunset. That's it. Yes, 100%. He's up there in age. His body's been taking a toll. And I think if Aaron Rodgers can win the Super Bowl, he does the Peyton Manning. See you later. I'm out of here. He's still got game. Trust me. But I think it's just – I don't think he'll ever fair. I think this could be his last shot ever trying to make a Super Bowl.
But I think what they're doing right now in Green Bay, it's successful with the new head coach and his – play style. It's working together and it's complementing.
Retire on top. People remember winners. Not
so. It's not this nonsense talking. The Niners are going to win the game. Aaron Rodgers is not going to win this game.
I forgot. There's a game to play still.
Yeah, seriously. Like what? No. They're going to lose the game. But outside of Baltimore winning the whole thing, the NFL really couldn't have hoped for a better scenario. They have up and coming team in the Niners. They have old Aaron Rodgers trying to make a comeback for his second.
Cinderella.
They have the underdog Titans, which everybody's rooting for to win. And it's just, and the Chiefs are obvious. Patrick Mahomes is still the pretty boy of the NFL, no matter how much Lamar Jackson did this year. Like, they're set up for a phenomenal playoff weekend and Super Bowl 2 weeks. So regardless of the matchup, they're still going to get a ton of ratings, regardless.
Speaking of retirement, just shout out to Luke Kuechly on his fantastic NFL career. BC alumni, go Eagles! Congratulations on an amazing career, Luke Kuechly.
A lot of guys retiring at a younger age now.
28 years old.
That's my age. I should retire right now, too.
Retire right now.
I could retire.
Sell the company.
Yeah, with my $0 in my bank account. Let me just retire.
Bruins Warrior, our own Ride the Wave employee. We don't pay anyone, but yeah.
Don't say those words.
Yeah, shout out Bruins Warrior. Took a puck to the eye. What was that? Hope, I hope, like that's the most wild story. There's one day, like in our Instagram chat, I just see his whole eyeball just falling
out. Yeah.
All right, who has a better chance of getting to play in the finals this season, Bruins or Celtics? The Celtics will make the finals if they do not face the Sixers or the Bucks in the playoffs, which is possible. I mean, until the Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to have to. If you can avoid the Sixers or the Bucks in the first and second round, you're going to make the Eastern Conference Finals. All bets are off. The Bucks are going to wash us if we go. Like, the Bucks are going to absolutely smoke us. I think we can beat Philly. I just don't think we want to face them in the playoffs quite yet, obviously. And then Bruins, I guess, are a wagon this year. I really don't follow the Bruins at all. So I'm going to go Bruins.
They've fallen off the last 2-3 weeks. It's not been pretty.
Based on not been kind.
Yeah, based on the last month, I would say Celtics have a better chance just because they're a better record, better team. But the Bruins they're falling off. But hopefully they find their step and can make another cup run.
Hockey's always puck luck, and you could be the best team, Tampa Bay Lightning. You can break records, and then you just lose in the first round. Like, that could easily happen. That would never happen in basketball. But the Celtics need something. They're still missing a little spark on that team. There's something that they need, and they need to make a move at the trade deadline. If the
you want to know what they need, Babs?
What do they need?
They need a shooter.
They need a shooter.
They need Kyle Korver.
Kyle Korver.
They need J.R. Smith. You know what? I'm starting the campaign
J.R. Smith's unemployed,
Bring J.R. Smith to the Boston Celtics.
No.
They just
start the campaign right now.
That team is just lacking something, and if they do not make a move at the trade deadline, the Celtics probably are not going to the NBA Finals.
That's what I would believe. They just have so many young guards that aren't getting play time that other teams could use and develop them.
Get rid of Carson Edwards.
Yeah, Carson Edwards. Tremont Waters.
I played against Tremont Waters in AU. He threw a lob and dunked all over my friend.
Oh,
Jermaine Samuels. Yeah, I want Andre Drummond, dude.
I want
Andre Drummond. He doesn't fix the Embiid problem because Embiid just absolutely toasts them. I think I talked about this last week. Literally, Drummond is his 7th or 8th year in the league. He's 2 or 3 years older than Jaylen Brown, and he's going to be the greatest rebounding player of all time in a small ball era where you can consistently find a job, and your job is to get 16, 17 rebounds a game. He probably has a long career coming up. Like, granted, also last night all-time flex, he has to switch his jersey every single quarter because he sweats too much. Like, wow, imagine
you're missing the most important fact that he is a UConn alumni.
So was Aaron Hernandez in a way.
That was kind of
in a way.
Also, just saying with Drummond, Cantor's been stepping up a little bit lately. And it would be nice to see Cantor and Drummond together. I think they could be a good fit together.
You'd have to get rid of Hayward.
That'd be like a buddy comedy if they find themselves in the same locker room. Those two guys are funny.
The rest of these comments stink, so let's just end it. I mean, the questions are just not good.
I got one last point.
I have one last thing is Andre Drummond used to date Jeanette McCurdy. People forget, and I'm here to bring that back up. When he had braces.
iCarly chick?
Terrifying.
Yep.
That is absolutely terrifying.
Drummond.
I'll look it up, dude. It was forever ago. When he first got in the league, he had the braces and everything.
That's horrifying.
That is scary.
Here it is.
That
poor girl.
Allowed?
That poor girl.
She's old, dude. I think she's as old as he is.
No, but she's too small.
Way.
She's too small for him. He's gonna break her, bro. What?
Oh.
Yeah. So people forget that is your I don't know, weekly reminder. Yeah. I don't know. That was a rich couple, man. That iCarly money is probably still paying. But yeah, that's my final thought.
But I did get a text from a guy I trust in baseball that says that MLB's investigation is expected to wrap up against the Red Sox by the end of the week, and they're not expected to find much of anything, which is a good thing for us. But
Boston's good at covering things up.
Yeah, just kind of like a waste of time now. We're just kind of waiting if there's going to be a bombshell. But I trust this guy, and it says they're not finding anything.
All right.
Shout out Red Sox. No asterisk.
But take the title away for the Astros.
Our
title's clean.
Asterisks.
Our title's clean. My final thought is that I will be at Apex Entertainment on Tuesday, February 4th with Taco Fall. The taco costumes are coming back out.
Ooh.
And can't wait to see Taco again.
You think he likes those now? Do you think?
Probably not.
Nah,
but when a company reaches out, to GRD and then myself and says, hey, we want that, we got to go do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, wait. One last thing. You got McGregor or Cowboys this weekend?
McGregor.
Glorious one.
Obviously, I got to find
100%.
anywhere that sells proper 12 here and just sit in my
Yeah.
lights
Hammer
off
that one.
apartment and just watch it. All right.
That'll be fun.
Wait, Joe, did you say in your final thought if you had one?
No final thought. J.R. Smith at the Celtics.
I'm behind that. I'm very behind that. Anyways, this has been episode 26 of Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media and sponsored by 1 and 100. Thank you for watching, hopefully listening on Apple /Spotify / wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, I've been saying that for 26 episodes.
Free Cora!
All right, we'll end on that.